What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Actual VR podcast. My name is Kyle Mann, and I own Actuality VR. And this is the show where we're going to take a deep dive into the stories we talked about on the Actual VR show that comes out every Monday on YouTube and Facebook. And we're bringing on a very special friend, Nick Brown. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him since high school. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a deep dive into those stories. He's an SEO guru. He's a digital marketer. He's the reason why you find me on the interwebs. And secondly, we're going to take a deep dive into VR storytelling with another friend of mine, Jared Rigsby. He helped me on a couple of projects, and we're going to talk a little bit about the challenges and the adversity that comes with telling a story in virtual reality. It's going to get a little spooky, but it's all for the greater good. Get ready. It's time for the Actual VR podcast. We're here. Here we are talking about the stories from this week. If you didn't get a chance to check out the Actual VR show, we're going to take a deep dive on all those stories from the Actual VR show that comes out every Monday on YouTube and Facebook. If you get a chance to take a look at it. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a deep dive. We're going to give you the brief synopsis. What we did is we talked a little bit about misinformation in marketing when it came to 360 video data. We're going to talk a little bit about No Man's Sky VR, which ironically, not so ironically, came out today, the day of this filming, and we got a leaked virtual reality laser tag video. Wasn't supposed to be out there, was taken down shortly. But what we have here today, we have a very special guest with us. He's a friend to many, an enemy to all. You are no enemy of mine, sir. We have an SEO digital marketing genius, my friend, Nick Brown.
What's up, everybody? I am very excited to be here today, Kyle. It's been a great day so far.
Yeah, it has been.
I'm so stoked that you've got your own podcast now. Like, people have been asking for this for a while now, and here it is.
Ask and you shall receive.
You've been crafting this masterful set.
It's been a joint effort. It's been a joint effort, and that's why we have you here. That's why we're going to have members from the team here. This is episode 1 of the podcast, and what we're going to be doing is bringing in members from the team because it takes a village. It takes an entire team of some really talented people to make this podcast happen, to make the Actual VR show happen. And what we want to do is we want to allow you guys to get to know the team behind Actual VR, the Actuality VR brand, and the company. There are faces and people behind each one of these videos. So we're going to start off. So like I said, we talked a little bit about misinformation when it came to an article that was released, a study that was released forecasting the strongest players in the 360 video market. We also talked about No Man's Sky VR and some leaked laser tag videos. But I think you and I, we had a very in-depth conversation after the Actual VR show about this data that wasn't necessarily incorrect at the time that they did their research. But what we decided is that it was good information, but was no longer relevant.
Yeah, and as you were saying, in a fast-moving industry like VR, to have a document that is three or 4 years old.
Yeah.
And then to charge, sort of a premium price for that sort of old insight.
$7,000 was one of the price points on there for this study.
It is unbelievable, but it does kind of create this idea where, that's a niche we could fill,
That's
if there
true.
is this desire for information, we have Mr. Kyle Mann himself, a VR professional that's been tracking the industry for years. I mean, you're able to provide that sort of information for free.
You're such a digital marketer. You know where people are looking, what they're looking for. Yeah, no, I think that was kind of what resonated, is that when we were looking at these, some of the camera manufacturers are no longer in business. Some of them were Kickstarters that never came to fruition. Actually, as a matter of fact, out of the list of, I think, 10 manufacturers that were on there, they had Sphericam, which is no longer a company. They never even really came out with their camera. It just never released. Bubble was a Kickstarter that never really grabbed hold of anything. I don't think Aura was in there. But it was, none of them were really relevant. I think they had the Kodak in there, which was right in its time. I used it on a project. I edited an entire show. There's a fossil hunting show that I edited through for a friend of mine, Alex Pierce. He was a mentor. He is a mentor of mine. And he, I mean, it was a great camera, but it didn't last. It was in the history of 360 camera technology.
Yeah, so it's really a shame to be selling like 3 or 4 year old information.
Yeah. Especially in a newer, I think it's doing a disservice to the people that are buying this, because I would imagine that the companies that were listed on this website, which I'm not like, I do think this is a reputable website. I do think they provide valuable marketing information for other things. It was just a specific article that was brought up that it was a little, I think they were just a little early. They'd done their due diligence and forecasted what they thought was going to happen. At least that's what I imagined had happened. But yeah, I think we should. I think we decided that we'll end up doing a video. If that's a video that you guys want to see, the top 7 360 cameras that you can get started shooting today. There's all kinds of price points, all the way down from $100 to $30,000. There's cameras all in that range that I use today, that other professionals use today, that would be far more relevant than what was published in that story.
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty exciting. Like, we're at a point right now where filming in 360 has never actually been more accessible than it is today.
Yeah.
And more so now than ever, people are searching for how they can enter that. They want to, experience it, create their own content. We're in a content creating, society. People love to create content. And, I think it's just a matter of time until everyone, sort of adopts this model. So right now there is a lot of traction. The people, they want to know, they want some sort of insider knowledge, which there isn't really that much of.
Exactly.
And one thing you do have to watch out is misinformation, which goes back to, I think, what this issue is, trusted sources are not necessarily the best source in this new, emerging, market.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's too, one of the things that I encountered when talking with regular production companies, so studios that already do traditional film, is that there's so much tech out there. So like there's so much movement, and it's constantly changing, and you really need somebody who, not to sound too salesy here, but you do need a professional who understands that industry, and that you need to have you need to have a professional that knows who's actually used the equipment and can tell you what's going on. Because I mean, when we talk about the early days of 360 video, people would take the Samsung Gear VR, they hold it in their hand and start moving it around, and it's not what you do.
No,
it's not what you do. Unfortunately, we've had a few years under our belt of filming in 360 video.
But if you're on a jet ski, then that's a whole nother story.
Oh yeah, look you. Oh you.
Yeah,
I don't
link in the
enjoy
description
what I'm
on
doing.
that one. Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That entire shoot was done with the Insta360 One X camera, a $400
What shoot
camera.
was that?
That was a Royal Caribbean shoot. So
Yeah.
what I worked with a drone company out of Miami to work with Royal Caribbean on a 360 video reveal of their newly revamped private island. Yeah. And that entire shoot was shot, well, I'd say 90% of it was shot with the Insta360 One X. A lot of this was drone work. It was a light camera.
Yeah, there was a lot of drone.
A lot of drone work.
A lot of drone.
Yep. And it shoots at 5.7K. This is a nearly 6K camera, which didn't exist. I think the Samsung Gear VR, one of the first cameras that came on the market, was at just shy of 4K.
Mm-hmm.
Not even true 4K. But it was it was shot on a $400 camera. This entire minus that there's a couple shots that GoPro Fusion was used for the waterproofing capabilities of it. So looks like Casey has a little bit pulled up. So this is the we had a 10-minute, I believe it was a 10-minute intro, kind of a waiting room where we'd show you. That. Yeah, this is pretty cool. It gives you a perspective, like you're flying way above this island. So if you're just listening and you're not watching, you're looking down. Now you're flying down. You're descending on this island here. Before you were
crystal clear waters.
Oh man, it was so beautiful. I will say though, it was really hard working while you were watching a bunch of people vacation.
Yeah, the island looks kind of like a dragon's head.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
It's like a pool in it.
So we just introduced these these tiny planet graphics. They're videos with different areas. that you can explore that through this 15-minute process. And there's a countdown at the bottom. Yeah, it looks like it's a 10-minute countdown. We're at 8 minutes
Thrill
now.
Water Park, Oasis Lagoon.
Yeah. So the whole concept was to have these tiny planets. And yeah, Casey, if you fast forward maybe to the last 5 minutes, you'll see all this moment really came down to this live. Oh yeah, go a little bit back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
2 minutes
that
back.
is a cool shot. It's like if the boat
Yeah, go a lot further.
out at sea. There's no
Okay, yeah, we can start here. So this is the shot. So this entire week of shooting on this island with no internet.
Fireworks.
It was all it took an island of people to make this, a literal island of people to make this happen. There are certain things, if you watch the videos, a bunch of little Easter eggs where people are jumping in different places.
Ooh, so you're saying there's some secrets in this video?
I do want to point out to the viewer that I am navigating around this video right now. So I'm the one who's in charge. This is all happening in 360, and I'm the one navigating. I just so people know.
Yeah. So if you turn forward, kind of looking where you're heading here, Casey, you'll see this giant tower of a water slide. Keep going. Keep going.
That one?
Yeah, one right there. And you got some fireworks in the background.
What is that?
That's a water slide.
It's like a volcano
It's insane.
of water.
Yeah, $400 camera this was shot on.
Wow, and there's the boat out there.
Yeah.
Cruise liner.
Yep. And this was live streamed in 4K initially, the day of the release. If hey Casey, look directly down right here.
So
we had this moment. I want to talk about this. It was so cool, the timing of it. So we're going over this moment. This is not timed, by the way. This is completely random. Whoa. Follow that thing right there. Yeah.
Whoa.
This geyser explodes the moment we fly over. And it would have hit the camera had he been directly above it at the time.
That's cool.
Wow.
It's really cool. It was but yeah, you would never know if you read that article, you would never know that the Insta360 even existed.
Yep.
But yet here is a multi-million-dollar company. They're probably not
doing it up right.
Doing it up right
with that camera.
Yep. So I mean that's the importance of having good information, especially if you're somebody who's not in virtual reality, thinking about getting into immersive content.
Yep.
Do the right thing. Talk to somebody who knows what they're doing.
So definitely keep your eyes peeled for that. We're going to be publishing that in a couple weeks, I guess.
Publishing what? Oh, the video?
Yeah. So we're with all the different cameras.
Yeah. So we're gonna list down the top 7 cameras that you can get started with today.
Perfect.
And their price points and the pluses and minuses. We'll do a good little breakdown.
We kind of do like a little breakdown where it's like if you're more adventure prone, you might want that waterproof aspect, you know? Yep. If you're more convenience oriented, you know, you might want something, you know.
If you want something more higher quality, higher resolution, there's like, it depends. Yeah, it all really, there's a camera. There's a camera for everybody.
Yeah.
There's a camera for everybody. We also, I want to talk a little bit about No Man's Sky VR.
Very
because
exciting.
That released today.
That's awesome.
I've been dying to try this.
Yeah.
We've been shooting the podcast all day. The nerd in me is just itching and crawling, trying to get just wanting to reach over to my Vive, put myself in the pilot seat, I want to explore some planets, man.
Yeah. Virtually.
Yeah.
Makes all the difference.
Makes all the difference.
So right now I'm playing the trailer for everybody, but Kyle, talk to me about about how the whole game works, for people that don't know anything about it.
So No Man's Sky, it has a checkered past. It is a
August 14th. That's
today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the release trailer. If you look for Casey, if you don't mind playing in the background, there's a Beyond trailer, like a No Man's Sky. Just look. Don't even.
Yeah, with something more than just
No Man's
text,
Sky Beyond trailer. Yeah, No Man's Sky Beyond trailer.
Let's go beyond here.
So what Hello Games has done, that's the game studio that's created this. Sean Murray, the CEO of this company,
revolutionized gaming forever.
This entire unit, he create this team, a small team. I mean, we're talking like less than 20 people.
Just a couple dudes
created an entire universe of planets, of planet-size planets.
Yeah,
we're talking in the trillions of planets, and it's all procedurally generated.
Yeah.
You know what they did to see that the algorithm had worked and that nothing had been broken?
Well, you got to count them all.
Well, they sent out virtual satellites to go spy on. They'd send them out and capture. Like they literally sent out satellites.
Yeah.
These cameras that would just explore, making sure that it hadn't broken. Oh, we got some VR gameplay? Oh,
yeah.
man.
Hook us up, dude.
That's going to be, it's going to be so cool. I cannot wait to get my hands on this game.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the game. I want to play it.
Yeah, stay tuned for footage of that.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll do I'm sure we'll do some gameplay. Oh, yeah, we got audio. Okay.
For the
So
record,
the
this is
very
my
beginning.
favorite game ever.
This is
my favorite
more than
game
Mario Golf.
Better than Mario Golf.
Oh.
Whoa, now.
But can you make money on it?
No.
No. Okay, so what we're looking at here, this is the very beginning of the game. When you first load in, what you are doing is traveling through space. There are trillions, millions of stars, billions of stars.
Billions, trillions.
And
what?
each one of the lights that you pass by, these
Zillions.
billions of stars, each have their own planets surrounding the stars. Oh my goodness.
What?
Yep.
This gets me so excited.
So right now they're on a desert planet, which looks like some fungus type fauna going on. They're looking at he's looking at his hands. So we got
You
teleport.
got a gun, dude.
Yep, got your mining ray,
Huh?
and then going through some instructions here. It does look like they've got some teleport based movement. I'm sure they'll have a little bit. You have the option. I'm sure they'll have the option to either. Oh wow! In the middle of some trees. Oh, I cannot wait to play this game. Right now, it's available on PSVR.
Yeah.
Oh, so the soundtrack actually is procedurally generated.
It helps a lot.
They have I forget
that.
the name of the actual band, but the band that did the soundtrack for the game kind of has this.
Is a
really
robot?
No, it's an actual band, but they created these sounds that are then procedural. That's at least at the beginning of the game when I was really getting really into it back in 2016.
Yeah.
That's what they were talking about. This game looks absolutely amazing.
We should make a procedural band.
A procedural,
Yeah.
just entirely procedural
Yeah.
band. Yeah, that would be cool.
It would.
So that's, I mean, I'm super pumped. There was a claim that said, this is according to No Man's Sky, they had the most users with a headset than any other game ever. So it indicated that more No Man's Sky owners owned a headset than any other game. So I'm curious to see what the numbers are going to. Well, that's another thing too. They released this VR update for free. If you have the game, it's free.
Yeah.
It just plugged, and that's one of the things that they've done really well is that every update they've done has been free.
PSVR.
PSVR,
Yeah.
the Vive, and Oculus headsets. So Steam VR.
Do you think they want to make it like their Minecraft from Microsoft? Like Microsoft has Minecraft, and they want
they kind of like
No Man's Sky VR
for Sony, for PlayStation?
Yeah, for PlayStation. Yeah.
I don't think so. Because, I mean, initially, I think that was maybe Sony's idea.
Yeah.
Because they did have the exclusive release of it.
Yeah.
But now that it's multi-platform, it can't be just one.
Yeah.
One platform. One platform can't claim it as their their Halo.
None of the other home consoles have VR though.
That's true.
Other than Nintendo's Labo, but I mean,
yeah.
Me.
So we have. So I want to just touch on the last story. So we talked a little bit about a leaked video, and we saw this on Twitter, of essentially using a pass-through camera on a headset.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you don't know what that is, if you put on a headset, they put cameras on the front of this headset so you can see through. Even though you're completely closed off to your environment, you can still see through. What this did is it overlaid a texture on top of a normal environment. So you're walking through a white room with white columns and white stairs. And what they've done is they've created this overlay where everything looks super like vaporwave, super futuristic, very virtual reality. But then it was taken down. And Nick, you did some investigating on this was done on Microsoft's Azure.
Yeah, what I love about this story. So first of all, like what you're saying, I mean, like that's pretty cool to say that there was an entire group of people in a virtual experience, interacting with one another with these skins, overlaid on their vision, so like that's
in real time.
That's huge. And then second of all, it was not wired. There's no wires. So this was a wireless situation.
This is on the Quest.
Yeah. So what got me really excited about it was from the Microsoft Azure aspect. They, that's like their server sort of aspect for
Their
Microsoft
backend.
server.
It's like cloud servers.
Yeah. So,
You're the back end developer.
Well, the thing is, so like with these VR experiences, like you're transmitting like so much data.
Yeah.
This was like an issue people were talking about like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that. It's like
the same concerns you have with having multiple players playing an online game.
Yeah, like a bandwidth concern.
Yeah.
So to transmit all that data, and then manage that and then use it in a game essentially where in real time it's like putting a skin over what you're like moving your head around.
Yeah, man.
Like that's a lot of like back and forth situation where you would think that the delay between your input and what you see in your eyes, you'd think that there might be one, but apparently there's not.
According to the person that posted
and I think that's very exciting because I'm glad that Microsoft's doing something cool other than Google. Normally Google's innovating and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Really not, whatever.
Well, dude, it was good. We got to wrap it up, but it was good. It's good talking to you, man.
Oh yeah, totally.
We talk every day.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm super stoked to hear from Jared. He's coming up next. He was. Is he talking about like storytelling?
Yeah, we're gonna be taking a closer look. So Jared had the opportunity to work with me on some very interesting VR.
I remember you guys talking
projects.
about that. That's very cool.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about some of the challenges that we had, and
it's very spooky too.
Very spooky. Mm-hmm. But we'll get into that next. Again, thanks, man.
Yeah, bro. Hopefully, see you soon.
I'll see you in an hour.
Yeah, I'll see you later.
In a few minutes. You're right here.
Yeah. Hey, I'll see you right now.
What's going on, guys? We're here now with segment 2 of the Actual VR podcast. We have a very special guest here with us, somebody who has helped me through a lot of the creative process when it comes to telling a lot of these stories in virtual reality. He's been with me for a couple of projects. Projects even. He's been a friend since high school. We've known each other for forever. He's friends of my family, friends of my kids, a friend of friends. Jared Rigsby.
Hi, folks. I'm happy to be here.
Well, hello there.
This is exciting, man. Liking the podcast. The space is sweet, too.
Yeah, man. This is day one. We've been Casey and Nick and myself. Casey and Nick been doing most of the work building this set here. We're just one step away
from the ultimate set.
Ultimate
set. It's like TV.
Is
this what we're doing?
We got a TV. TV coming in. Yeah, we'll be able to allude back to it. Right now we got a monitor. It's sweet. It's good set.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, no, this is done. This is the set. This is the Actual VR podcast. And second segment, we usually we bring in somebody who's had experience in the VR industry.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do as a profession isn't.
I'm out like left field coming in because all my stuff has been with you mostly, but you've known me through a long time, and my writing and marketing background. I think that's where kind of we intersect.
You're a creative as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very creative.
I like to think so. I try. Yeah.
You totally, totally are. Actually, I want to use that as a segue into talking about. So what we're going to be talking about in this segment is specifically storytelling in VR and some of the challenges that we faced, some of the advantages, some of the amazing things that happened when we were talking about telling these stories in VR. And actually, the most exciting, the most interesting one that you helped me with was a VR ghost hunting show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. That took me into some pretty dark places. I went all method.
So just breaking this down, this is like, it's like other ghost hunting shows that you've seen before, right? But the cool thing about this was like you were completely immersed in whatever like haunted location they were at. So for me, that was kind of like the it factor for this show versus what I usually see. And they kind of, did the similar things I've seen on other shows, right? But just being there immersed in the space, which is kind of the VR like angle on the whole project. But as far as ghost hunting, like you have to figure out like the story, right?
That was the most challenging part. And I think we had the discussion too. I was really struggling with, I'd never edited ghost hunting show before. I don't watch a ton of ghost hunting shows. I did some research, before taking on the project.
Yeah, I feel like I did a lot when I was like a teenager.
Yeah.
It was getting like real big with like the original ghost hunters.
Yep.
And I've always been into the stuff like that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's my big imagination, and like I like to write genre style fiction, so like ghost stories and stuff like that. I'm just like, I'm all about it,
Yeah.
I don't even care if it's fake. I'm just like, yeah, thrill me.
It's
fine,
entertainment.
but
yeah.
it is.
Yeah. And it's and there's a story, and that was a hard part of not the hard part, but the interesting part about the ghost hunting show, right?
Yeah, right. Because you just get a bunch of like clips and stuff. They're like, okay, we did the investigation, and these people like legit, did an investigation. They're like hardcore into it. And
they had all the instruments.
Instruments. You have the what is the radio frequency one?
Oh yeah, they had the electromagnetic field detector. They had one that would skip through radio frequencies. And
I love stuff like
phonetic
that.
generators.
For, like, trying to figure out this like unknown thing with this like whatever science we have on hand. You're like, let's see if it messes with magnetism. Maybe that's what ghosts are.
Oh yeah.
But it's fascinating watching them. Like they even do that in movies. Think of like was it not Inception? Insidious.
Insidious,
right?
Dude,
Where they had and like Annabelle and all those that like they're like, we're doing an investigation and then it goes wrong. For a while there, that was a big genre.
And even before that, we talk about the exorcism wave, where's all the possession style, which again, it's not the we have paranormal. Was it Paranormal Activity? Some ghost stuff. Yeah. Which I mean, it still lives on, but it's
like the Blair Witch Project. You think about like technology, like making a new kind of format of genre. It was just like slightly better, more portable cameras. And it's like a huge leap in the horror genre. But VR, the horror genre in VR is another level.
It's
that's what's cool about it. I remember
I've never been that terrified.
Right. I remember like when you first started doing this VR, we were looking at horror is like your thing. Right. So we had that first thing where you're in a wheelchair.
Catatonic.
And I'm like, thank God this thing just let me stay in a chair to take this ride, because there's no telling how I would have reacted, because it's like you're in a 360 environment, and it's like the music is there, the tension, the ambience is there. And then all of a sudden, like anything could jump out at any given angle.
And you're there. You're there. It's the best haunted house you will ever go to.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
I mean, you were living so
almost. You need like texture, I guess, but
you need to be able to
at home
feel the
haunted
air.
house experience. Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But the show, getting back to the show, you don't ever like when you do these kind of shows, you do one of two things. Either you do like they do on that Ghost Adventures and you totally fake it every time and get really excited, in my opinion, and get really excited for the camera. Or you tell a story, because every ghost story has a good like human story.
That's what drives it. I mean, that's why
it's
we
always
have them.
it's like sad, it's horror, and when you have like a real location like what they're doing,
where real stuff happen. Like, I mean, really horrible things happen in these locations.
Right. And
horrific murders and abuse and
like betrayal and all these like really dramatic, like especially in like 1800s ghosts. And that's what America is like full of, right? We're not quite like
even the Civil
England
War
where they get those nice castle ghosts. Yeah, we just get back to the Civil War.
The knight in ghastly armor.
Yeah, mostly Civil War ghosts here in America. But
those pioneer ghosts.
Yeah, if you like psycho ghosts too, we have a lot of those sanatoriums and whatnot around
which
here.
is one of the episodes that we did in the ghost hunting show.
Yeah.
We did one like an insane asylum, and then we also did a prison.
Mm-hmm.
The pilot episode was a prison. And then we had there was some axe murder, the Villisca axe murders.
Oh yeah.
Casey, would you mind pulling up if you can find like a quick synopsis about the Villisca axe murders?
That was kind of like Amityville, right? Where it was the house in the attic part. I remember that one probably the clearest.
Yeah, that one was
because
pretty.
The attic part was cool, because that's the interesting part.
The investigatory part of it. Like,
you're in different rooms and you're exploring the space as the investigators are doing their investigations, and they're talking about the story.
Well, I got some right here. It says the Villisca axe murders occurred between evening of June 10th, 1912, and early morning of June 11th, 1912, in a town of Villisca in southwestern Iowa. The 6 members of the Moore family and 2 house guests were found bludgeoned in the Moore residence.
Oh, wow.
All 8 victims, including 4 children, had severe head wounds from an axe. A lengthy investigation yielded several suspects, one of whom was tried twice. The first trial ended in a hung jury, and the second ended in acquittal. The crime remains unsolved.
Oh.
That's from Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was a spooky episode.
Yeah,
for
he hit
sure.
him with the
It was
one
very,
side of an axe. That's what he struck
Wow.
with. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so telling these creepy stories was, I think, a big part of the challenge for like going from like, okay, we have a bunch of footage,
Mhm.
and now they hand the footage to you, and they're like, okay, make a show.
Yeah.
You're
That
like,
was
oh, I need to know some narrative, like
exactly.
and you started writing around that time as
Yes,
well. You started
daily-
exercising. that way.
daily writing.
I was really excited about that.
Yeah,
'cause I
that was from
like, oh,
you.
cool, we could talk
You
about
inspired that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
well, I'm
man.
happy to do that.
Yeah, there was that was probably the biggest plus, the biggest bonus to the creative side of things. Because
Yeah.
I was always like a video. I wrote when I was a kid, but I never really
Yeah.
got into. But
Yeah, you always had a creative streak. for
those
that kind
like
of stuff.
super short bursts of word vomit writing
yeah
was
yeah.
amazing. Like
Yeah.
being forced to. There's that app.
Yeah.
What's it?
Is it Wetpad?
the dangerous
I think that
writing app?
Casey showed me a really cool one where like amateur authors, which of course I signed up
Yeah.
going for that, can like put their stuff out there, and it's like a social media for authors.
Oh, really?
It's been really cool.
I didn't
yeah.
know about that.
Yeah, I think it's a
that's
good
cool.
place to like test the waters for that kind of
Ah.
thing. That and like contests and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a lot of really good apps for like online writing right now, like any kind of digital space. Like I come from like a blog and like article writing space for like search engine optimization and like entertainment. I did a lot of music writing and so on and so forth. But then my calling is to like, okay, I want to take my writing to the next level and do some like actual fiction. And then I did this kung fu thing where I just like went
The kung fu thing if you've met Jared, the kung fu thing
where you go to the mountains for like live in
train for-
solitude. You get much better at writing, and then you proceed.
Oh, so you
forward.
applied it to your writing. You were
So reading and writing on a regular basis,
nice.
and then I think it helps you come up with narrative and like story.
Yeah.
You start to understand like story elements.
Do you listen
in a
to
more
music when you
intuitive
write?
way. Absolutely. Yeah.
What do you have like a certain
I
type?
do what you do, and I throw in whatever ambience I need for like the
a
story.
certain
Since I
part of
love
the story.
since I love
Oh,
genre
yeah.
so much. Like currently, I'm doing a horror short story.
Are you?
Yeah, that's
Oh, I didn't know
I'm gonna throw it up on that app
Nice.
as soon as I send off this other story, the sci-fi one,
Yeah.
off to this competition. But when I do that, I go to stuff like remember Dance of the Dead? They're like a 80s like synth. There's like a dark synth.
Okay.
Stuff. So I love that kind of.
Wait, no,
80s
you showed me Dance of the
genre.
Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Because we like some of that same ambience for creative projects.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
It's also terrifying. Like if I
yeah.
noticed, because what I would do is while I was planning things out, while I was doing something that didn't require me to be 100% focused on the meticulous. Like for writing, for me, I can't hear words in music.
Totally.
Yeah,
so like EDM or like something ambient, like
lo-fi hip hop,
chill wave,
wave,
yeah, lo-fi
vaporwave,
hip hop.
get some synth in there,
Totally.
depending on what, depending on what we're listening to.
Mhm.
But during that time when we were, that editing process, I edited those shows like 8 months, something like that. It was a huge, and for that entire time, I was listening to nothing but horror soundtracks.
Yeah, I remember.
And watching horror films.
Yeah, you have that like creepy lighting in
Yeah,
here
I
with
changed the lighting.
When it goes like deep red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I had the worst nightmares for
Oh.
the longest time.
Oh, yeah, you went
Yeah.
in deep, man.
I went in deep.
You
and
went method acting.
Yeah, that's what I was method
went too
writing,
far.
method editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was absolutely terrifying. And then when I started like having the recurring nightmares, I was like, okay, maybe pump the brakes a little bit.
Maybe step back a little bit. Was that
But-
like your main work at that time?
That was the biggest
for that-
project
The
I
biggest
had.
project, yeah.
The most time consuming. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was I think it was 6 episodes.
Yeah.
6 episodes that were
yeah.
like 15 minutes. I mean, 360. I mean, these are
Right.
like virtual reality. So if you're not familiar with the process of 360 video creation, essentially we have, at the time it was this GoPro rig. Is what was popular
Like
around
cube.
there. The cube, yeah.
Yeah.
So 6 GoPros in a cube form, and then you'd have to take in each individual SD card, load them up, sync the footage to where they all line up at the same place, because you can't turn them all on at the same time. You turn them on individually. And then you would stitch them together using a stitching software. So you take all those individual videos, you put them together. And at that point, you'd be able to determine, is this a good shot? Like, is only at that point, only after you've done all that work, that you could decide if the shot was worth keeping. So there was so much work. So that's a lot of the reason why. And I would have close to, I don't know, like 30 shots per episode.
Yeah. Yeah, you do a lot of work up front before I even
there
got
was a
here.
ton of work.
You're like,
just
I need to
back-end work.
weed this out into something interesting.
My
and-
poor
and then-
interns who had like
Oh,
come
yeah?
through and organize a lot of that footage.
It's like they're part of the ghost hunting team.
They
now.
are, yeah.
They have all this ghost hunting footage.
I felt
and they gotta look
horrible.
for ghosts.
Yeah, I think at one point I was like, "Hey, all right, go through this footage. And if you see anything remotely
Right.
interesting,
Yeah,
just put a note.
You gotta
Just-
put it in there.
You gotta put it
yeah,
in there."
a chair moved. Something
Yep.
fell off the table.
And that- do you remember? I can't remember if you were part of the conversation when I was trying to decide. There were moments where just it's going to happen where things just don't happen in the ghost hunting show.
Right.
Like you're not going to get a response every single room,
Right.
every single time,
Right,
every
yeah.
instrument. So I started to I've never edited a ghost hunting show. Like, should I fake it? Should I insert something? Like if they react to something that maybe I didn't
Right.
hear in the headphones,
Right,
like
yeah,
should I make
Yeah, that's a weird place to be, right?
and just not tell them that I'd done
Yeah.
it, because it doesn't matter to them. It's a more entertaining show that way.
And that's ultimately your job, right? Is to make the show entertaining.
Exactly.
And-
But I also felt like I had some moral obligation to
Yeah.
like tell the story as it was.
Yeah, I think that's why I lean towards like tell the story of the place as opposed
Exactly.
to find a ghost. So
And that's
if
what we
the
came
goal
up-
of it is to tell a ghost story and
Yeah.
take you to a place, then that sinks in with like the virtual reality aspect where you're like, oh, I'm in this place where this story has happened. And
The place is a character.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And VR kind of has a really unique element of doing that.
Yeah.
It's a really strange kind of thing. It doesn't seem like mind blowing, but it is at the same time.
It's one of
You
those things
know?
you have to experience.
You're like,
that's
okay,
the hardest
this-
part.
This makes sense. But the first few times I did it, it even like kind of threw off my balance, and I
Yes.
was just like that's why I was talking about being in a chair, like for that first horror one, because I was so thrown off just from having the goggles on my face to begin with, and then all of a sudden these like terrifying like old women and zombies and stuff
Yeah.
are like, ah.
Oh, dude, it got creepy too.
It did get creepy.
Could you pull
Yeah,
up
you had- you had-
catatonic VR experience?
Yeah, that would be a good one to check out. If
I don't
you're
know if they-
into horror, VR horror
Yes.
is the next level. Like,
Yeah, and I highly recommend if you're somebody who just like recently bought a Quest or an Oculus Go, if you have any of those. Only thing is I don't know. So Within was the app that you could watch it on when I first started.
Oh, okay.
But they've since removed it.
Yeah,
off
it's probably
Within.
changed, and yeah.
And since then, I couldn't find it on YouTube. I also knew that they were doing the festival circuit with it, so
Yeah.
I don't.
How often do you get jobs like that? I mean, arguably, you could say storytelling is a huge part of whether you're doing VR for entertainment or VR for marketing. Like,
Mhm.
you still need to have storytelling.
Story is king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how often do you get it like on the entertainment side, like that ghost hunting show versus something more corporate? Or I guess there's some of those can blur some lines, but
Yeah, some of them blur some lines. So usually the type of you got it, Casey? Oh, sweet.
oh yeah,
Yeah, let's take a look at that real quick. Let's-
yeah. Catatonic. Oh, did you pull it up?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
that's
actual
cool.
video. Oh, this is it looks like a screen grab from we might have to in post
Yeah, so,
So you're
you're
being
in an
admitted.
insane asylum and you're moving through in a wheelchair. So Kyle put this on my head, and I'm in one of these like computer chairs.
Do you like scary movies? Not
Yeah,
really.
not
Hey,
really.
put this on.
Well, here, just sit through, just sit through this and see what happens. And I was like, okay, I can't check it out in front of my friends, so let's do this. And
Yeah.
then you're stuck there. So
Yeah,
the,
that was-
the character is actually strapped to the wheelchair. So you have to remember
if
that.
they were to look down. So yeah, this is a screen cap of what somebody looked at in the headset. And if
Yeah.
you're just listening, you're not watching. You're going through this hallway here. with multiple doors. You got some light flickers. The music's getting a little crazy, a little creepy.
Oh yeah, dude, music does so much.
Yeah, we'll talk about
to,
that. With,
crank up intensity.
Light went out.
Oh no.
Oh no. Yeah, so he's being carted into a room right now. It looks like there's somebody on the ground. Yeah, so you can see
it's
so
dark,
when you look
and you have a
down, you're
flashlight.
strapped down to a chair, like you're in leather
Yeah.
bindings.
I think you go down just like a set of stairs at one point.
Oh yeah. Dude,
Like, oh no.
So they've got a mixture of these jump scares. This
Yeah.
actually isn't the music from the experience. There's a big man. There's a giant fat man. A giant. That's a bit redundant.
Yeah.
He's half naked, laying on a table.
It's like a man baby or something.
Yeah.
It's something weird like
Yeah,
that. It's a weird one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
For
it just
sure.
and then from here it gets
Yeah.
even weirder. It just escalates into a level of weird that you don't expect. But it's amazing. It's amazing. And so I wanted to talk like the sound design. One of the most exciting parts
Oh yeah.
was coming up with the different tones and the different like the whole sound design aspect,
Yeah.
the right song for the right moment.
I remember you
the
looking up
stingers.
some for
Yeah.
was it the water one, the nonprofit,
Yeah,
which is kind of on the other end of the spectrum. That's kind of
completely on the
like
other.
you know marketing for a great cause. It was really cool
Yeah.
getting people in Africa and Nepal clean water. But that was a big storytelling
Right.
element as well.
So what do you remember about? Well, I'll answer the question you had before as far as like what type of content gets created. So as far as like entertainment type stuff, not a whole lot because there's not a whole lot of money there. VR is still a little more on the pricey side. I mean, you get a better product. I
Yeah.
still think the best way to tell a story is in VR.
Do you
It's
think
the
there
most
needs to be
intimate.
like a platform like YouTube for VR? Like in a different kind of like in a few years when it develops more and more
It's
people
one of the
have
biggest
it.
problems with VR right now because you don't know. There's no definitive place to go for
Yeah.
premium VR content.
Yeah.
You can go on YouTube, but there's a lot. I alluded to this. So traditional cinema had decades of practice from the best filmmakers on this planet
Oh, yeah.
before somebody got a hold of a camera on their own, like
Mhm.
that a regular consumer could take a camera and start making their own videos.
Yeah.
And even then, they had no place to distribute it.
Yeah.
It wasn't until YouTube that we found out that anybody with a camera could make their own videos.
Oh,
But we already discerned in our heads what good cinema should be.
Uh-huh.
We had decades of learning from those people. And
Mhm.
but what we have with VR is that
Film
the
and
second
cinematography.
360 video comes out, everybody can access a camera.
Yeah.
And there's no filter and there's no way of knowing what premium 360 content should look like. There's no established rules.
Mm.
Whereas these were all incubated beforehand out of the public's eye. Now we had all the flaws being shown to
Yeah.
the entire world. So it actually gave 360 video a bad rap, at least at the beginning.
Mm.
Because a lot of people, the first thing they saw was somebody with a camera waving it around going like, hey, look at all this stuff. And that's,
Yeah.
It's
Like
not what you do.
panoramic pictures and stuff.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
That. Yeah.
so, so right now you can go to like Within has some some premium content.
Oh, yeah.
The Jaunt platform has some premium content. Samsung VR within a headset has premium content.
Mm.
There's for 180 stereo content, there's a maze. So there's that, but the thing is like I know those things because I've spent time looking for them. And but there should be a place that everybody knows. Essentially there needs to be a central location like, hey, this is where there should be a Netflix for premium VR content.
I feel like maybe like Sony might be on that. Like you get into like the PlayStation and then you have gamers.
It's a controlled
interconnecting on
ecosystem.
yeah, somewhere. But then you have like the pioneers of VR, like the PC version.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to see what evolves from that because I'm surely something is going at the rate it's growing.
There's also
you know?
Veer. I want to throw them out there.
Yeah, or
Veer
maybe
is-
one of
it's a-
these. Maybe one of those newcomers will be the one that pulls through
Maybe.
and creates that platform. Because that would be really cool if that like, not even necessarily in the same way YouTube has like you can do it yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but just like a platform for people who know the craft, have the computers, have the gear to do it and stitch it all together and then make something cohesive.
Yeah.
Can throw creations up there.
Yeah.
And do.
And there's a lot of it's just going to take time because there are a lot of things still to this day that we don't know. Storytelling in VR is totally different.
Yeah.
When I say totally different, it's like there are certain things that traditional video doesn't translate to. And I think that part of the creative process that you were part of, like there are certain things that you have to keep in mind with 360. Like what are your like
I mean, like the cinematography in traditional like films is such a big part. Like the edits is such a big part of the storytelling
and frame,
as
like
well.
the frame.
Yeah.
Like,
how you're framed and like how people move through a frame are all part of the story as anything else.
Yeah.
So when you take all of that out of the equation and it's just
start from scratch.
Yeah. Now now we're here. Now what?
Yeah.
But good writing. I think most things go back to good writing.
Exactly. And you help do what? So tell me, I don't remember exactly when you helped me work on the Africa piece, right?
Yeah, and a little of the Nepal one.
And a little bit of the Nepal one.
As well. Yeah.
So I got
because one day you were picking music.
Yes.
And that was really cool. And then like going into like the royalties of that, you know, you're almost like a producer in that matter. Which would be interesting if like that picked up and you went more towards that angle since you have
I would absolutely
some experience there, but marketing's probably where the money's at right now.
A lot of the businesses have the money, and I think that's where.
But the storytelling can really get honed in on your marketing pieces. Like I was saying before, those clean water ones, you were telling people a story of like, who was that lady on the mountain that you followed? That she had to take.
I don't remember her name, but
she had to take a bucket of water. Like, and how much did that weigh? It was like,
when it was full of water. I mean, I think it was. Like it had to be like 5. I forget. It's like a jerry can essentially worth of water, which is over 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And she would carry it. So they in Nepal they have these.
Is this video available online? Can we play it
on my YouTube? It is
on your YouTube.
Yeah,
right, cool. Just keep talking about it. I'll pull it up. I'll just throw it in picture in picture.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you'll need. Well, it's not. It's on my private.
It's unlisted.
Unlisted, but I'll. Well, so they're still using it. So Never Thirst is the company. They're still using it in their fundraising.
Okay.
Very cool. Because the whole point of this marketing material is to help the fundraising to get money to get these people clean water, right? So your challenge there was to like move people, right? So be like, this is a person. This is what their day is like, you know.
Yeah,
in the morning, throughout the day, this is what they have to do just to get clean water, and that's like most of the day. Something you take for granted, and just like conveying that in like a really sharp and like concise message that grabs people's attention. But the fact that you're in Africa and you're in Nepal, like we talk about location, we were talking about how like the setting was a character. Like setting is really, I think, valuable there as well. It's like the landscapes are very beautiful. It can really captivate people's attention, even though there's people there that actually need help and resources.
Specifically with the water, the landscape determines what type, like how they.
Yeah, it's a part of the story. Yeah, she had to trek through those mountains.
In Africa, it wasn't necessarily that they had. Some of them had to go a long way.
Yeah, Africa was a bit of a different situation.
Yeah, right? Where in Nepal, in the mountains, you're climbing mountains to get to water. Like it's an entirely different. It's the same. They had. So the difference between the Africa and Nepal is that in Africa they didn't have access. A lot of people had easy access to water, but it was dirty water. So it was more important for them to get clean water. In Nepal, they had access to clean water because they get the glacier runoff.
Oh yeah,
but it was difficult to get
water.
Yeah, but they couldn't get to it.
But you had to explore to like get to it.
Exactly.
It's like how do you live your life like that? Like goodness, it's it was pretty cool to work on that. And that must have been a challenge just being there and like trekking and like.
Chad,
did you have to get in shape for that? Did you have to like train?
I should have, because it was.
That's the first thing I thought. Yeah, I was like, man, I would do some practice hikes before you start getting up in the.
They told me to do
those
that.
mountains.
They told me to, and I was like, I was an athlete in high school.
Oh no. I played football, man.
I played football in high school. Oh man.
Oh man.
That
was good.
Oh yeah, it was grueling. Chad was by far the coolest place I've ever been.
Oh yeah.
Hands down. And as far as like the story there, specifically, so they have these nomads that come through and they travel all along northern Africa from coast to coast.
Yeah.
From Egypt all the way to. I failed geography. I'm usually pretty good at geography. The western side of Africa, the country that.
Is that Libya?
Algeria? No,
Oh,
I have no idea. Anyway, so they travel along the southern border. We're really banging on all cylinders here.
It's a desert. I know that.
So they're just south of the Sahara Desert, and they travel along that lines. Well, the problem is that the desert expands every year.
Oh.
So they're being pushed south every year.
Yeah, I have heard about the desertification of Africa. Yeah.
Yeah. So these nomadic, which they're one of the few nomadic tribes left in the world who, they have no home. They're all constantly moving. Well, they also have all this cattle with them. And as they go into these countries that were in regions where they normally go, no longer have vegetation. So they're being pushed south into other people's lands. So now these countries are calling for them to settle down and become citizens of their country. Like, listen, you can't come here and just start eating from our people's grass and
right.
Like, so
the nomads don't. Like, I don't roll that way. I'm a nomad. Like,
What is the video called?
it'd be Never Thirst, Nepal, or Southeast Asia. It should be Southeast Asia.
Is it under your videos or is it unlisted?
It's unlisted.
Okay, I'll find it.
Yeah, just go into YouTube Studio. So yeah, they have this issue where, like, since the dawn of time, these people have never settled in one place, and now they're being forced to by governments.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt a connection, even though that wasn't the primary focus of why we were there. We had gotten there through a ex-nomad who had settled down.
Yeah.
He wasn't an ex-nomad, but he had settled down, and his sole purpose was to provide shelter and food and water and clean water for the nomads that were traveling through the region.
That's interesting. That's an interesting way of life, and to like be forced out of that.
And I kind of felt
how do you deal with that?
Yeah. Well, I kind of felt I felt it was relatable because being military brat, it was
you moved around a lot.
I felt like a nomad, and then finally my dad retired, and we settled down in one place. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. Yeah. I'm used to knowing somebody for 3 years and getting out, and I actually get that recurring feeling that I need to get out every
interesting
every 3 years.
Yeah.
I have to.
I can imagine
change
it's just
the environment.
just whatever you're used to, and then it's a radical change.
I was gonna get a tattoo in Chad. Did I tell you about that?
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah,
They had the scarring. The nomads have the scarring. I was like, I feel connected with you.
They're like, probably not a good idea.
Yeah, the entire team, never their team was like, dude, you're in the middle of Africa and you're asking them to cut you. Do you have any diseases?
Yeah, no.
Thanks, guys.
They have a tsetse fly or something. They have something that gets under your skin. I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, it'd be awful.
Yeah,
it'd be. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't do that. So it's a 4K. It might be 6K video. So it might
would
be
have been a cool story.
Would have been a cool story.
It still is a cool story.
You want to hear
I think
how
your trip to Africa was really cool.
You want to hear how I got sickle cell?
Wait,
I started with these scars. That's the Nepal one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one we're looking for? Or we're looking for the other one.
I mean, either one's fine.
This is the Never Thirst video that I have pulled up right here, and I'm hoping if it's stuttery, I'm going to keep it in frame and I'll just fix it in post.
Yeah, that's fine.
And leaving all this audio in so people know that we're working, baby.
We're working. So this is actually 2D. So if you were to click and move your mouse around, Casey, so this is like it's very two-dimensional.
Yeah. That was the whole.
That was the whole point of it.
This is where you live.
Yep. But what if we took you to them?
Yeah.
Where they live, and then that's when it opens up into a full VR experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the whole concept. Like we take you to they wanted to take them to the village. They wanted to see what it was like to live where they live. The Terai is the grassy area right at the base of the Himalayas. Dude, this shot right here was pretty fun to make.
They had different challenges, right? What was the other?
The Terai?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Terai was very similar to Africa in the sense that they had they had easy access to water, but it was I say that depending on where you were. But it was usually dirty water.
Yeah.
They had access to it, but it was just dirty.
Right. It just wasn't great water.
Yeah.
They needed filters, right? That was a big part in Chad.
So they made biosand filters in Nepal, or in the Terai specifically, whereas in the mountains in the Himalayas, they needed tap sands. They needed to be able to direct the water from the top of the mountain.
So it's not like one product going out. It's whatever the needs of that certain community need. It's just a problem-solving kind of situation. Yeah. I thought that was a really cool. It's a really cool company or nonprofit, and like a really cool.
They were really cool.
Goal. Yeah. Like it's getting people clean water, you know?
That was the Nepal video was like an experiment in. So the Nepal and Africa video are two separate things. So the Africa video is it's the story of essentially this character that you see at the very beginning. He's a local pastor. He's the guy that settled down to help the nomads. And he kind of it was like a secondary shot. I was like, I want to get a shot of him like walking from under his tree where his story essentially started. He took his family to the middle of nowhere. At the time, there was nothing there but the tree. Yeah. He's like, this is our tree. In tribal situations, a lot of times entire villages revolve around a tree or a group of trees.
Interesting. Is it called The Water That Runs?
The Water That Runs.
All right, cool. I'll pull that one up too.
Yeah. And The Water That Runs is a clip. So I told him, I was like, just kind of talk. Just say some words. We may or may not translate it. But I want to get the shot of you walking. And what I didn't realize is at the time, and I realized later on that added a lot of weight to the story, was that what he said was so eloquent. It was so well spoken. And it was essentially his request, his wish. If he had one thing to say, and that's what I realized, he has one opportunity to get his message out to the people that can help. Yeah. And those were his words. And I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't make that the forefront. Yeah. So that was...
It's an interesting thing when like you start thinking about like marketing
right there.
And storytelling. Like you almost hit this wall of like, I kind of have to manipulate people's emotions to get the end goal of what I'm going for. And it almost feels a little like inauthentic,
a little underhanded.
But as I've been writing more, I've been marketing forever, right?
Yeah.
And for years now. And that tends to be like how you do it. You build an aesthetic, and you build like a brand story and stuff like that. And there's like certain ways of storytelling that captivate people. And it's whether you're telling a story like in person or if you're writing a story, there's certain tricks you do to like keep people's attention because people don't have big attention spans. And
exactly.
It's like sometimes you feel like, man, I really care about this thing I'm doing, but sometimes it does feel weird to like,
well, I think
manipulate people's feelings.
Yeah, I struggle with the same thing because that's essentially storytelling. We're doing that very thing. We are manipulating people's emotions, and that's why you take like when you're telling a story, sometimes you take a little creative liberties to make the story a little bit bigger, a little bit more dynamic. When depending on the story that you're telling, certain times not appropriate, but when it comes to, because I had an internal struggle, like what do I feel okay with that manipulate? Because when you put it that way, manipulating somebody's feelings and not like telling a story, it sounds a lot worse. And it gets like, especially in sales, it gives a really bad rap. It's like marketing.
You could have a bad attitude about it and just be like, "Oh, you just manipulating feelings," But that's, I mean, that's what storytellers do. That's the craft of it. Is giving out information in a way that captivates people and makes them want to know more. Yeah. So when you're captivated, first of all, that's a good place to be. Like, I like being captivated by something and interested in something. Yes. Instead of something just like blaring noise at me and trying to get my attention that I don't want it to. Right. That's a completely like different mindset. Like I get an ad and it's like a band or something and it's like a cool new band. I'm like, oh, I actually like this band. Cool ad, then I got a new,
What who's your who would you like to see what band would you like to see have a VR experience? Like where you could be.
I feel like one of like, not necessarily one of like my indie punk kind of stuff, more like like a huge mega, like the Rolling Stones or something,
Oh,
just to be up on
man.
stage to see like a
Yeah.
like a massive sea of people.
That would be cool.
That would probably be one of the
Yeah.
coolest VR, like the full blown rock star experience.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Like,
Have you
yeah.
done anything like that in Nashville? You know, this is.
Yeah,
I feel like you've done
country music
before.
Yeah,
yeah,
the country music
We've
capital
all
of the world.
everyone else in this room have done music
Yeah.
before, you know, in marketing.
That's actually one of the things that people don't really get when I tell them I don't do a whole lot of music stuff. They're like,
Yeah.
"You're in Nashville."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
there's
I
a
know.
lot of. It's a really close knit industry.
It
the
is.
music industry.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot of people that I know in that industry, but I did get to do so Lightning 100 local radio station here.
Yeah.
They do a free show every summer called Live
Live
on the Green.
Green's coming up
Yeah,
right this month.
yeah. It's is it
It's the
every
end of this
weekend
month.
in August?
Every Thursday.
Every Thursday in August?
September.
September.
Oh yeah, September. That's good.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
So I did a video for them, and essentially gave what the Live on the Green experience is like. And I got to go on stage and set the camera up next to Real Estate, the band.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Real Estate, they're really they have a really cool website. But they were up there. They were really awesome. It's like a paint by numbers music video on their website.
oh,
Like you sit there
interesting.
as the music video is going through. You can like color
Like
everything.
click on things.
Yeah, no,
Oh my
color
God.
it. Yeah, it's really cool. But so we did this. I created this psychedelic retro music video for them.
Oh, cool.
That they didn't end up biting on. Actually, the worst thing about that is I lost all of the source files for that specific music video.
Oh no.
I know. At some point when,
Oh, no.
oh, dude, I know it was so bad.
Yeah, that is a major bummer.
Yeah. But the Live on the Green experience was, so we had some footage of them. Ron Gallo is another artist that we had cameras on the stage. We were at the kind of the foot of the stage for Sheryl Crow. We got some footage there. But essentially it was like, it's stuff over the crowd, these big, like, this big energy moments. And it was really cool.
Yeah.
The problem, it's kind of the question when it comes to VR is like, how do brands make money with it? And that's the question they always ask. Because
so far it seems like bigger brands are branching out into it much more, and it's probably going to trickle down
as the
at some
technology
point.
becomes more affordable and as the process becomes more streamlined. You'll start to see a lot more of the like just narrative work. And that's
Yeah.
what I want to see. I want to see
Totally.
you as a writer. Like
Yeah.
I would love to in the future, you and I collaborate on a choose your own adventure
Oh yeah.
VR experience,
Oh,
which
yeah.
exists now, but it would be
Yeah, let's make a scary one. Let's go
Dude,
horror.
choose
I'm
your own
down.
adventure horror.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
that'd be so dope.
We're gonna do so much better than Bandersnatch.
so much.
so much better.
I mean, I'm not gonna hate on it. I think they introduced some pretty cool things. It was I like a certain,
That was the first thing that came to mind.
but it's gonna be so much better.
yeah, it just is.
Well, dude, Jared, first
Yeah.
guest, first podcast.
Yeah.
Segment 2 guest.
Yeah, segment 2.
First
time
segment
number
2
2.
guest. First
Yeah.
time number 2. Feels special.
Either way, it was cool. I like this.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Wonderful.
Coming on. Thanks for coming on. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for the Actual VR podcast. If we've added any value, if you've enjoyed this show, let us know by subscribing. Give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment down in the comment section if you have any questions, or if you want to just tell us how we're doing. Just that's where you do things on the internet. Just leave it down in the comment section. Be sure to check us out every Monday for the Actual VR show, where you get bite-sized pieces of VR news and everything that's happening in immersive tech. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week for another episode of the Actual VR podcast.